He's the real enjoyer. He's the real proprietor. So when we forget this and we're thinking that this is mine, I, me, mine, it's a nice song, I, me, mine, and it's this principle, false ego, you know. And so when we become attached to this material conception of life, um, become addicted to all kinds of activities, sinful activities, which furthers our forgetfulness. And when the forgetfulness is furthered, then we take different bodies in the mode of ignorance, bodies in the mode of passion, some in the mode of goodness. But suffering is there. Attachment to the material things are there. The things that will leave one day, they will leave. So here, Krishna is giving us a process by which we can engage in these activities and become Krishna conscious in doing so. So he's not recommending that we just give up our nature because we're going to act anyways. We're going to act. So we should act for Krishna. Krishna consciousness is so nice because we don't have to do anything artificial. We don't have to do anything artificial. We can act perfectly in line with our nature, our conditioned natures, and it can become fully spiritual. It can become fully in line with our spiritual identities. So devotee is not limited to his conception of God is not so fragile that he's limited to just he has to sit there and meditate, focus on the breath. The second that is disrupted, it's gone. No, we can engage in activities and have them be spiritual, but we have to do it for the satisfaction of Krishna. We have to work in such a way that we're always remembering Krishna and we're reminded that all of these things that I have belong to him and they're for his service. They're for his service. And a practical way to do this is that generally fruitive activities means that, okay, so we're attached to a home, we have a home, family life, things like that, those kinds of occupation, hobbies, those different kinds of things. So one practical thing to do is to establish the home as a place of worship for the Lord and to put the deity there, and to center one's activities around Krishna. Even if we don't actually have a home, we still are living somewhere, wherever it be. But we try to center all of our activities around Krishna. So whatever I'm making, whatever money I'm making, I set it aside for the service of Krishna to engage in his worship. Whether that be purchasing Prabhupada's books so that I can distribute them, or purchasing ingredients to make prasadam and then distributing that, or buying equipment so that I can organize a Harinam party, seeing that if I have a vehicle, seeing that this is my vehicle for preaching Krishna's message, Krishna's vehicle has given me this, and taking care of that vehicle nicely for Krishna, doing so many things. It has to be for Krishna. Everything can be done for Krishna. These things. Also, we should see that our disease for enjoying these things is decreasing, and we're able to think about Krishna. We're able to think about him. That the activities that I'm doing are a vehicle for my Krishna consciousness. So I should be uh, I should notice that my consciousness is turning towards him more and more, and I'm becoming less attached to enjoying these things, And simply, and now I'm just acting out of duty, service to Krishna. I've got this nature, so let me use it in Krishna's service, and not be attached to the results, but offer the results up to him, So there's not. It's interesting. Otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. So Krishna says, if I did not engage in work or Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. So we can see that actually the Lord has unlimited different expansions, and these expansions are all engaged in certain duties. You know, even Krishna, he gives his work here. He says in the previous verse before this, he says he doesn't actually have. There's no work prescribed for him within all the three world, within all the three worlds, but he's still engaged in work. But then he says, what is that work? Well, he's establishing the principles of religion, for one, and by speaking the Bhagavad Gita and by protecting the devotees and destroying the demons. So you can see that Arjuna is acting as an instrument for that as well as the devotees do. They uh, they follow in Krishna's footsteps. They offer their intelligence to Krishna, and by that they act as instruments for his service. Some other things that he does, and he's got there's like Lord Vishnu. So who's Lord Vishnu? Lord Vishnu is the supreme Lord. And he carries out the maintenance of the universes, universal function maintenance. So maintaining the universes, the various demigods, all the beings in the universe are maintained by the Lord. You know, he's seated in their heart as the super soul. He's directing their wanderings. He's maintaining everything. As Ananta Shesh, he's holding up the universes. So he's gravity. He's acting as so many different things. He's creating different laws, all these different things. You know, as Mahavishnu, unlimited universes are being generated from his pores. Um, and he's created this system of universal order, maintenance. The demigods are there, and he's empowered the demigods to form certain functions and accept sacrifice on his behalf and offer up that sacrifice to him. So different things. So those are some functions that he's doing. So let's see. We can continue. Well, and also one nice name for Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. And which basically means that he's very affectionate to his devotees. He's very affectionate to his devotees. So that's one of the unique qualities of Krishna, as opposed to even Vishnu, this other form, Vishnu. Same person, but Krishna is unique. He's got these unique qualities. His transcendental flute playing, his unique pastimes, his unparalleled beauty, and his relationship with the devotees, his loving relations, sweet loving relationships with the devotees. So that's he's just in one sense that's the kind of work is that he's looking after his devotees, you know, and he's engaging in these sweet loving relationships with his devotees, reciprocating with them. But of course, he's also providing everything for all other living entities as well. He's reciprocating with all other living entities. He's giving everything, you know, all these things that we depend on in life, air, water, all these different things coming from him by this body that I have, everything. It's his energy. You know, so these are some of his works. Would anyone like to read the next text? Sure, Prabhu. Yeah. Okay.
Usiyadeyo rimaloka nakriyam kama seraham sankaradasya sakarta sayam upahaniyam mima praja usidya put into ruin. I'm all the okay. If I should cease to work, then all these worlds would be put to ruination. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all sentient beings. Purport. Varna Sankara is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of the general society. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress in life. When Lord Krishna descends, naturally he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessity of such important performances. The Lord is the father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly the responsibility goes to the Lord. Therefore, whenever there is general disregard of regulative principles, the Lord himself descends and corrects the society. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate him. Following and imitating are not on the same level. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting Govardhana Hill, as the Lord did in his childhood. It is impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any time. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. One should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. We should always consider the position of the Iswaras, or those who can actually control the movements of the sun and moon, as superior. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Iswaras, who are super powerful. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing an ocean, but if any common man tries to drink even a fragment of such poison, he will be killed. There are many pseudo-devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja or marijuana and similar intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling death very near. Similarly, there are some pseudo-devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his rasa lila, or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Govardhana Hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions, nor should one try to occupy their posts without qualification. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of the Supreme Godhead.
Right. Anything stick out in there? Anyone would like to maybe comment on or churn some nectars? This this thing about Lord Shiva drinking the poison ocean, this is a pastime in Bhagavatam, in the 8th canto. There's this ongoing war between the demons and the demigods. So the demigods are these pious living entities who are following the Vedic instructions, and they're conscious of Krishna. I mean, they're not, we don't consider them pure devotees, but their bhakti is mixed with karma and other things. But still, there are these wonderful, exalted personalities. And the demons are envious, and they're very powerful as well. So they're fighting, and basically there's this ocean of milk in the universe, within the universe. It's this grand cosmic thing there. And so they find out that, okay, by turning this ocean of milk from this churning, then they can derive this nectar of immortality. And the demons are thinking, if we get that, then we can defeat the demigods once and for all. And the demigods are thinking, well, if we get that, we'll defeat the demons. So they go and they make a truce. So they say, okay, we hear about this nectar, so let's make a truce between them. So we'll churn the ocean of milk. Of course, the demons are scheming how they're going to, defeat the demigods and get it after they've churned it. And so they acquire all the ingredients for the churning. They acquire this big mountain, Mandara mountain, as the churning rod. They acquire the king of serpents, Vasuki. He's a great serpent as the rope to churn. And the demons are on one end of the rod and the demigods on the other. And they're pulling back and forth to churn the milk ocean. And the Lord incarnates as Kurma. This is huge tortoise. And the rod rests on the tortoise there. And they're churning and they're churning and they're churning. And from this churning, so many mystical things are coming from this. Different personalities. Airavata, who's this Lord Indra's vehicle, is this huge elephant with all these trunks, and this horse, Uchayashrava, is this celestial horse. So many other things. And then eventually this poison comes. Hala hala, this poison. This poison begins to spread, and it's threatening the whole universe. And so everybody's freaking out now. Lord Vishnu is also on the scene. Of course, Lord Vishnu is the Lord. But he's thinking, okay, I know the perfect person for this. Who can do such a humble service? Yeah, somebody who's humble, my devotee, will do this nicely. So they go to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the most humble personality who does all these things for Lord Vishnu that only such a pure devotee could ever do, because they're difficult things to do. And they're thankless tasks, like drinking this poison. So Lord Vishnu wants to glorify his devotee by doing this. So they go to Lord Shiva and they try to get his mercy by glorifying him. And he's so humble that he does it. He does it out of compassion. And he just sees that, compassion for the living entities. So so he takes it. And he also wants to serve his Lord, Lord Hare, Lord Vishnu. He wants to please the Lord, so he does it. He takes it. He takes the whole ocean of poison in his palms and he just drinks the whole thing. And a few drops of it fall. And when they fall, they land on earth. And from this, all these intoxicating drugs are there, and poisonous, venomous living entities spring forth from this as well. But oftentimes, we see that's very common is that people imitate what the exalted devotees try to do. So we're being asked to follow in their footsteps, and we're not being asked to imitate what they're doing. Because for one, we can't do this. We can't do this. Just like recently, like Srila Prabhupada, we were hearing about Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is so expert in preaching that he was able to like today we were hearing about his preaching to the gardener about cars, and so ordinarily if we try to do this we might find that actually I'm just relishing speaking about cars, but he's totally Krishna conscious. So what he's doing is he's relating to somebody and this person's forming an attachment to him, to this devotee, and so he's totally Krishna conscious and knows full well Krishna's all of the material things are but a spark of Krishna's splendor, so whatever attractive thing is there, well, trace it back to the source, Krishna. Krishna is supremely attractive. So like that, the devotee never forgets Krishna, even when he seems like he's glorifying Krishna's external energy, but he's always using Krishna's energy for its rightful purpose, by serving the Lord in so many different ways. But let's see. There's a nice verse in the Bhagavatam that Prabhupada says in the purport. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Well, so the Lord, he comes here. He came 5,000 years ago to this planet, but he's having he's traveling all over the different universes and coming and exhibiting his pastimes for the purpose of taking the devotees and annihilating the demons and establishing the principles of religion. But simultaneously, so many devotees, representatives of his representatives, empowered servants, are appearing all the time in different places. Like very recently, we had Srila Prabhupada. And 2,000 years ago, Lord Jesus Christ. And they come and they um, they um, are pure servants of the Lord. So they're just executing his instructions, preaching his message wherever they are, and uh, trying to turn the misguided living entities back towards their father, Lord Krishna, engage them in service. So I have compassion. This is compassion, you know. And it's very nice that we, out of the compassion of the devotee who's distributing the causeless mercy of the Lord, we've come in contact with that as well, and we're able to serve the Lord. And the nice thing is that we're being asked to come to the highest platform of distributing that love of God as well, very selflessly, very, very selflessly giving up whatever uh, uh, whatever desires we have for our own personal gain, and surrendering our intelligence and our body and our mind and our things to Krishna for the benefit of everybody. So it's such mercy that we're being engaged on that highest level of preaching Krishna consciousness, flooding the world with love of God. It's crazy how undeserving I am. Because it's caused us mercy. You didn't do anything to deserve it. It's caused us mercy. But still, out of selfishness, I'm reluctant to accept that with open arms, totally bogus. And I'd rather just suffer like a dog, you know. So we have to be intelligent. We have to just be intelligent and just realize that this is the best thing for me. This is the best thing for all living entities. So why not? Why not? Why not? Simply because we have some mental concoction of what I'd like to enjoy, but it's always changing. When I was a kid, I wanted to play with little toys, and then I got rid of that, and if somebody took those away from me, I was so upset, screaming, crying. Then something else, video games, and then something else, and friends and girlfriends, but this just mental concoction. It's always changing. I'm never satisfied, never satisfied. It's only not benefiting anyone. It's not benefiting me. I'm becoming further and further entangled in this world of a network of illusions. Certainly not benefiting anyone. Parents had to suffer walking all over them, and so many people, friends had to suffer me walking all over them, get what I want. So many different people. So these these material activities are selfish. We have to give them up. So we don't necessarily, we can't drink an ocean of poison for the benefit of all living entities. That's Lord Shiva's job. What we can go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. And like that, we're acting in our rightful position. And the Lord becomes pleased with us. We become pleasing to the Lord. What greater thing could there be than to be pleasing to the Lord? That's so nice. It's such a nice position. So, and if we're pleasing to the Lord because the Lord is the Father of all living entities will be pleased with us. Dira dira jana priyo priyakaro. But this is a verse about the six Goswamis. The six Goswamis are Lord Chaitanya's foremost disciples, and they're the commanders in chiefs of this movement, Hare Krishna movement, because they've scrutinizingly studied this Shastra for the benefit of everyone, and they've compiled the essence of it, and they've written down the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, who is giving the essence of the Shastra, love of God, right? And so they very nicely compiled this, and they've given it in And here we have it now. So Srila Prabhupada, he's just taking that and presenting that. But those personalities, like Srila Prabhupada, six Goswamis, and Srila Prabhupada's representatives, they are pleasing to those sober-minded individuals and those who are not so sober-minded, because they're free from envy. And so like that, they're acting for the benefit of everybody, not just one particular class of men, not just the people who are part of the ISKCON movement, but for everybody, all living entities, you know. This is the real dharma. This is the real occupation of the living entities, is to engage in devotional service, because it's the most beneficial thing for everyone. It's the most beneficial. It's directly pleasing. It's directly pleasing to Krishna. You know, the Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He's always pleased by his devotees. But I can also be directly pleasing to him. And like that, I'll be directly pleasing to everybody and everything. And he's nice. But in this Maya, misidentifying this, in the ignorance, we're ignorant to this knowledge. So we've accepted some a lesser platform, a lesser occupation. And in the struggle to do those things is different kinds of work that I think, okay, so I'm identifying as the CEO of a particular company, or as a truck driver, or as a father, as a Hindu, as a Christian. These are temporary designations. And when we're trying to become satisfied by acting in this platform, then we become actually frustrated with these things. And because we're constantly changing them. Because, I was Christian for 12 years, and then I became an atheist, and now I'm getting into magic and what, always changing these things, changing my position in my work is always changing. So not quite satisfied with life, you know. So we have to follow the instructions of the Lord. He's giving so many valuable instructions, so many, to help us in so many practical ways, you know. So he says one must become balanced in all areas of life, eating, sleeping, recreation. So many practical things are there in this knowledge that he's presenting to us, so that we can be happy. You know, he's supremely merciful, and this is his exhibition of mercy. I mean, this is more. This is the most merciful thing that you can do, is give somebody this knowledge. He's done that, because he's given himself. This is not different from him. So he's given himself. You know, this beats any pat on the back, any kind of, anything, whatever, words of encouragement or nice things. You know, this is the highest exhibition of compassion. That's so nice. So maybe we can continue. We've got a few more minutes. So you guys, does someone want to read the next text and purport? Yeah, 25. Yeah, it's dead, huh?
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, similarly, the learned may also act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person, who is too much attached to material activities, but one who is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Mm.
Yeah, this is great. The only way to actually become satisfied by our work is to do it for Krishna. No other way. No other way. You got yes, Prabhu.
There's a great example of this that Prabhupada puts in the purport, just in a few more texts. I think he makes like a comparison. Like a cashier may count millions of dollars, but doesn't hold on to a single cent at the end of their shift. So similarly, a person in Krishna consciousness, yeah, doesn't see themselves as the proprietor of anything, much to the effect of what you have so beautifully said in your class. So I really like that example. It's like a practical example, of like we don't keep the money at the end of our shift. We just give it all to Krishna. And if we did keep that money, like that's stealing. This calls for recourse, repercussions, consequence. This is what happens when we hold on to the fruits of our actions without offering them up the chain to where they belong. So.
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. Yeah. I get in so much trouble with this in the material conception of life and thinking I'm the enjoyer, I'm controller, I can control things, I know what's best. But you're just listening to your mind, and your mind is telling you to do something, and you do it. And we experience this, like how horrible, how many mistakes are there. But yeah, if you have all that money and you think that it's yours, then you'll just use it to degrade yourself. Use it for sense gratification, and you'll use it to degrade yourself to an extremely low platform. Just like Srila Prabhupada, when he came here, he engaged. He could sort of nicely see the different tendencies of his devotees, and he engaged them perfectly in their work. Like I'm thinking one particular example. There's one of the most early and prominent devotees is Satsarup Maharaj, and he was going to be a writer, and he decided he had some money, some $500 or something saved up, and he was going to go to Canada and just spend his time writing. But when he met Prabhupada, he decided just to give this money to Prabhupada instead. He was so convinced by Prabhupada, and so he did that. And then Prabhupada ended up engaged him early on in helping him with his writing on the typewriter. Um, and then later on, he went on to produce Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, you know. So this is the perfection of his writing career. Otherwise, he would have written some bogus literature, which would have helped no one. A waste of paper, waste of resources, and then he would have been dissatisfied with his life. And like so many other writers, probably would have drank, smoked, and, wrote poetry about how depressed they were, you know, and how horrible life is. It's like that. But he became satisfied by his work because Srila Prabhupada, who's giving this supreme intelligence, is correcting him, and his faith and his intelligence is surrendering his intelligence to Prabhupada. He becomes perfect. So just a little faith, you can purchase that perfection of life. The devotee is freely giving it. You don't just need a little faith. And we all have faith in something. It's currently being reposed in maybe my Palsigo, my own ability to do something. But if I just use my intelligence to recount all the mistakes that I've made in my life, I'll see, okay, why should I have faith in my mind? Or if I see all the different philosophies that have been presented to me and how they've been presented to me by people who are also made a lot of mistakes in their life and have hurt a lot of people and hurt themselves, why should I accept that as well? So let me accept from somebody who's actually not on that platform, who's on the spiritual platform, who's totally liberated from all these different things. We have a comment over here, a question.
suppose I know, but I don't know that we're supposed to be Krishna conscious. But I guess my question is, aside from being or striving to be Krishna conscious, should we strive to be a battlefield of Kurukshetra conscious?
And Prabhupada addresses that in the Bhagavad Gita. We're concerned with Krishna and whatever is related to Krishna. So the battle for the Kurukshetra happens to be related to Krishna. And it is important for us because this is where he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. Even the first verse in the Bhagavad Gita opens up with Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra Samaveda Yutsabha Mamakam Pandavas Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So yeah, we're concerned with places of pastime, the places of Krishna's pastime. We're concerned with his associates. We're concerned with his paraphernalia. But is that kind of what you're talking about, or I'm not sure?
Doing your best to be aware that we are always in Arjuna's situation.
Yeah, we're always in Maya. Of course, Arjuna is a pure devotee, and he has these wonderful qualities of a pure devotee and of a kshatriya and a wonderful person. But yeah, we're always in Maya. Yeah, we should be aware of that. We should consider that. We should say, yeah, I have envy and I have attachment to this material things and I have lust. As the more we like admit that to ourselves, because in illusion we're thinking, yeah, I'm great. I've been totally ignorant to all these other things. But now when we get some knowledge, we can see, yeah, actually I'm insignificant and I'm just full of envy and lust and anger and greed, all these different things. But if we become aware of that, then that's the first step to taking proper recourse. Just like if you don't know you have a disease, what can you do? But if you have it, if you know that's the first step is getting diagnosed. You know you have a disease. Oh, so now I know I have it. Now I know what's wrong with me. Okay, that's actually alleviating. Okay, I've had this problem. I just didn't know I had a disease. And now I know. Oh, okay, I got this thing. Great. Now what's the next step? Let me keep in mind. Let me be attentive to it. Attentive to it means to just like, yeah, just because, yeah, I know I'm in Maya. So let me engage in Krishna service and get out of this situation. Become purified. Okay, all right. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.